What's up, collectors? Hope y'all doing good out there. Hope you're taking in this beautiful fall weather the same way I am. So today I got 3 nostalgic fragrances. Fragrances from my childhood that puts me back in the mind between the time I was 12 and the time I was 16. 3 fragrances that I'm wondering, do they still work in 2020? Do they still have that wearability as they did when I was a kid? Or are they here for nostalgic purposes only? Well, you about to find out, so stay tuned. Welcome back, collectors. My name is Earl, and this is the Casual Collector. So, if you watch any of my other videos, you know oftentimes I will come home, come to my office, aka the fragrance room, and pick up a couple of fragrances, take a whiff of them. Some of them just because they smell good, and some of them because they put me in a different mindset. And it's no different than the ones that we're going to talk about today. These 3 fragrances are fragrances that I obtained or was gifted to me between the ages of 12 and 16. These are the fragrances that really got me enthused into always owning a fragrance. I wasn't the cereal and cartoon kid. I was a kid always around his older cousins, uncles, and granddad, and then their friends. So I always wanted to do what the older people was doing, and one of the things that I always noticed, they always had on some sort of jewelry, either a watch or a chain and a charm, and they always had on fragrances. So that was my vibe. I always wanted to make sure I had some type of jewelry, like a watch or something, and I always wanted to have fragrances. And obviously over the years, picking up fragrances here and there, and then as of recently actually becoming a true collector, I managed to own a lot of fragrances, but I still keep close to me the fragrances that got me started in the game. So without no further ado, let's get into it. So this first fragrance makes me laugh a little bit every time I think about it. It was actually a fragrance that a guy that my mom dated when I was 12 years old. He used to wear a lot, and every time they would get ready to go out, or we would try to go out as a family, I would always like sneak in the room and grab it and put it on. My mom would get mad, but he thought it was kind of funny that like I was always going in there, like I wasn't taking anything technically, but I was always going in and making sure and spraying it. Obviously, 12 years old, you don't know about sprays and sillage and choking people out or cloying fragrances. So I used to douse that joint on heavy, right? But this fragrance is one of those fragrances that, you know, really took the attention in the room. And as a kid, you know, I was definitely a lot more active, a lot more spontaneous, wanted attention for sure, starting to smell myself and, you know, get the attention of any girl that was around for real. And this fragrance is also one that really introduced me to the note of Tonka. At the time, I didn't know about Tonka. I didn't know about notes. I didn't know how these things were made. I just know I really enjoyed it. But it's an aromatic fragrance. It's a spicy, warm fragrance. And it's a fragrance that you all know and probably will chuckle at too. First fragrance is Yoke On. So off the cap, you automatically get that scent. This is probably of the 3 one of the strongest aroma fragrances that I ever owned, at least up until maybe 6, 7 years ago when I really started to deep dive into fragrances and own more than like 5 fragrances. That scent, man, I don't know. Some people say it was a barbershop fragrance or a fougere fragrance. To me, it was just spicy. It was bold. It was confident. It was definitely a great confidence boosting fragrance, and one that you could choke the hell out of people if you oversprayed it for sure. Like 2 or 3 sprays really probably should have been the best option for Yoke. And I remember because I liked it so much, and because I would always sneak in to grab it and put it on. That following Christmas, I got it for Christmas. This was my gift from that particular person for Christmas, and I gotta tell you, I thought that was hot shit. I never knew what the price of fragrances were. I wasn't like at Macy's or any of these fragrance stores, like dialing in and trying to figure like how much does a fragrance cost. But I just always figured it was expensive because all of the people that I looked up to, you know, were pretty well groomed people, and I just thought that fragrances was like something super expensive. And plus, anytime I would ask for something, my mom would be like, "Nah, I'm not getting you that. You don't even know what to do with it, right?" So to me, I thought that was hot shit when he got me this fragrance, and I wore the absolute hell out of it. When until I got down to like maybe a quarter, and then I started to like ration it off. But then we'll get into why I started to do that once we talk about these other fragrances. But in regards to will I still wear this fragrance today, I would have to say no. Like I open the cap, smell it, 12 again, 13 again. Listening to Tupac. Got a Walkman, CD player, whatever the case may be. And a lot of things was happening at that time that I felt like it was a great advantage for me as a kid. But this it just stays at that age. Like I have so many other fragrances now, so many other aromatic fragrances with tonka bean in it. Um, I wouldn't reach for it. And plus, and because it was such a popular fragrance, I don't want to put off the notion that like when someone smells it on me that I'm like this old guy with a young face. Like I'm a little bit older, but I'm not, that old. It's not that nostalgic to me to where I would have to, still be wearing this and only still have 2 or 3 fragrances in my collection. So I won't wear it no more. But every time I smell it, I spray it every now and again in the room just to kind of you know, bring up that cloud. This is one of my favorite fragrances from when I was a kid. So the first fragrance is Yoke. So the second fragrance was actually a gift from my mom because after her and that guy broke up, I think she just kind of got tired of smelling that fragrance because I would wear as much as I possibly could without like overdoing it. And like I said, when I was wearing Yoke, I wore it down to damn near about a quarter. And this actually, I got this fragrance like literally the next year or halfway throughout that year because my birthday is in June. So this was another fragrance that I received as a gift. All these fragrances were gifts. I was a teenager. I really didn't have any money like that. So this fragrance is a cool fragrance. It's definitely a warm weather fragrance. I'm from Georgia originally, so it's warm down there like 60, 70% of the time. And even when it's cold, it's not really cold, but it's just cold to Georgia or if you're from the South. So this fragrance is a little bit more wearable, easily approachable fragrance. I was 13. This was my 8th grade year. I was actually getting ready to go into 9th grade when I got this fragrance. This is another fragrance that I just thought I was hot shit when I got it. I know I was seeing like ads for it in magazines. It was like, Ma, if I get something else, this is what I want. And my wish was granted. So my second fragrance is Davidoff Cool Water. As we all know now, Cool Water is considered, at least in Fragcom, less expensive inspiration of Creed's Green Irish Tweed. I would never call it a clone. I don't think I ever heard anybody call it a clone, but everyone said that this really resembles Green Irish Tweed, which I've smelled Green Irish Tweed, never owned it. Don't know if I really want to own it. There's other fragrances that I enjoy a little bit better. But to me, this was just fresh. It still smelled expensive. Even as a kid, I knew that there was a difference in quality because my grandfather, God bless his heart, he would wear like the Brutes and just some of those old barbershop fragrances that you could get in CVS before, these fragrances were available in CVS. So I knew even though my grandfather wore fragrances, he didn't wear the best ones and they was cheap. And Cool Water, when I was 13, 14 years old, felt like it was of quality. And if you guys are comparing it to Green Irish Tweed, then obviously it must be of quality. It has C notes in it. It reminds you of a nice warm summer day or even a day at the beach. And where I grew up at, we also had a beach. So for sure I was throwing this on, going to the beach, going to school, just throughout the summertime. This was just one of those fragrances that I really fell in love with. It didn't topple Yope. It was just an addition to having Yope. It gave me options. It was the first time I had true options with fragrances. But I can definitely tell you, I wore out this bottle. As a teenager, I probably had 3 bottles of Cool Water. And now that I think about it, it was probably crazy for my mom to like continuously buy me bottles of fragrances because, like I said, teenager, you want money. Some people want comic books or Nintendo games. Me, now I was actually still in the wrestling, so I collected wrestling men or wrestling figurines as well. So that was my very first collection actually. Was like WCW, WWF wrestling man. But I was also into fragrances, and so I had a lot of Cool Water because I just would continuously use it. This is one that I definitely had to re-up on a couple of times during them teenage years between like 13 and 16 years old. So now, will I wear this still? The answer is Absolutely. I actually purchased this bottle maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I don't know if you could tell, but I've been wearing a good little bit of it. And it might not look like a lot to someone who only owns a few fragrances, but I own over 100 fragrances, and I'm always testing fragrances now. So for me to wear something consistently or have a signature scent is almost null and void. I mean, there are some fragrances that I do wear pretty consistently, but this one has definitely gotten some wear, especially over the summertime. And I will say I was inspired by watching a couple other fragrance videos because I just thought I was the only one still left on the boat wearing cool water, and I saw that there was some other reviewers still rocking cool water too, other iterations of it. But it's still pretty dope that people still like really into cool water. But this is a great fragrance. If you are into like niche fragrances or want to get into niche fragrances but don't have the budget for it yet, and you like something like Green Irish Tweed, or if you smelled it, I guess this is a good iteration. To me, it's not a one-to-one fragrance, but it's definitely still pretty good. And if it puts you in the mind of a niche fragrance, then that's all the better. So my second fragrance is Cool Water by Davidoff. So for my third fragrance, now I'm definitely in high school. I'm in the marching band, playing the drums, getting noticed by the girls a little bit more than I guess the average Joe would be. Having a couple girlfriends, passing notes in class, and I don't know about where you guys are from, but where I was from, if it was a girl that you really like, or even if it was a girl, if it was vice versa, and a girl liked you, they'd throw in a little lipstick or lip gloss and kiss the note, spray a little something on it. And as guys, if you had some fragrances, you'd douse on some fragrances to show some love right back. And so for me, that's what I did. I hear that that didn't happen everywhere. My girls say that they didn't do that where she was at, but where I was at, we was doing that, and I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of funny now. This fragrance is one that really introduced me to the ginger note. It's a really great middle of the road fragrance. It's a fragrance that's not too spicy or too warm, and it's not a fragrance that's too fresh, too cool. It's like right in the middle. It's a fragrance that kind of put me in the mind of like a Issey Miyake or something like that, like a Japanese inspired fragrance. Or something that's like dead smack right down in the middle, but definitely not that price point. And so I remember smelling this in the store. This is probably one of the first times I actually stopped by a counter and was like smelling fragrances. I definitely said I had to have it. Being the only son and being a mama's boy, I kind of got most of what I wanted. So shout out to my mom. And this fragrance right here definitely got me a lot of notes written back with the lipstick on it. So third fragrance is Curve for me. Yeah, this was like 10th, 11th grade, even some of 12th grade. And, like I said, I was talking to girls, I was trying to be a little player or whatever, so I had a couple of different girls I was talking to all the time. And so if we was passing notes in class or we ain't had time to talk, over the phone, write a little note, whatever the case may be, or respond to a note, there's something on it. Even if they was like, yo, I don't think I want to talk to you no more. Be like, come on, yo. You know what I'm saying? Say what I was gonna say, spit my little game. At the end of it, fold that little letter up, douse a little bit on it. Then come back to school, stick a little note on the desk, you know what I'm saying? It works sometimes it didn't. I can't even lie to you. But nonetheless, this was a fragrance that I was rocking when I was trying to get the girls when I was in high school. Now, will I still wear this fragrance? And the answer is no. I don't like it no more. I don't like it on my skin. I mean, I still like to come in, get a little whiff of it, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely at the bottom of my shelf. It's nothing that I really keep high. I don't even see it that often. And when I was making this video, I definitely had to like reach down and grab Yope and Curve from at the bottom, because I don't really go for the bottom stuff too much. So I ain't gonna never get rid of it. I could always do a douse on my nose and, think back to what was going on, just different scenarios with this fragrance. So Curve does not get anywhere anymore, but this was the fragrance for the latter high school years. This is a great fragrance for that time. I think young men could still pull it off if they chose to. It's just not for me anymore. But my third fragrance was Curve for me. Alright guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks for going down memory lane with me. This is actually the second video I shot. The first one, I had some technical difficulties. It was a little bit longer and a little bit more detailed, and I just don't have the energy for it anymore. So, I gave y'all what I could. So I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, Be sure to hit that like button, drop me a comment, tell me what your nostalgic fragrance was, either when you was a young kid or just anything that brings back a specific memory and something that you always keep in the tuck just for that nostalgic purpose. And make sure to subscribe. I drop videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you're notified when my videos come out. Y'all can help me with the YouTube algorithm, show my videos higher in the rankings. So the next time you're trying to go down memory lane, you grab that fragrance and you smell good and smile. See you later.